Today, we're talking about the first yes, that moment when you step into leadership before you actually feel fully ready. Let's be honest, most of us wait for the perfect time, the perfect skills, the perfect confidence. But the truth is, leadership rarely comes wrapped in readiness. It's not about being prepared, but it's about being willing. Saying yes when you're the first, when it's uncomfortable, when you don't have all the answers, that's what opens the door for growth, impact, and possibility. So let's dig into what it really means to say yes to leadership before you feel ready. Corey, can you share your perspective on saying yes to leadership before someone is fully ready? And what has it taught you about the difference between willingness and readiness?
Yeah, Ken. And it's interesting because that's hard. It is hard to say
Yes.
yes when you feel like you are not ready. Everything inside of you is saying no, and you want to step into it and say yes anyway. And so when I think about that, I think about faith over fear, and especially when you're the first. So when I say you're the first, I'm thinking about when you're the first when it comes to being the first African American in a role, the first woman at the table, the first to speak on a lived experience that others haven't heard. That discomfort is real. It's difficult, but on the flip side of that, it's also a signal, because being the first doesn't mean you're unqualified. It means that you're called to pave a way. And so I've learned that faith doesn't erase fear, it just votes louder. And so when you have the support and backing of others, even though you're in some unfamiliar territory, that is scary. It is
Yeah.
tough, it is scary. But when you believe in yourself and you have the support of others, man, that can propel you to move forward. It can serve as a catalyst to open up broader things. And when you do it and you do it from your best self and you bring your whole self into it, the whole environment can shift and it creates opportunities that you may not even have imagined before. So there's
That's true.
something to be convinced and to say, hey, I'm going to move forward, even though I feel unwilling. This is scary, but I'm going to take that initial step, and we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, I think when you're the first, that weight of leadership feels a bit heavier. People look at you not just as an individual, but as a symbol, proof that someone
Mm,
like you can stand in that space.
that's
And
true.
that can be intimidating, but on the flip side, it could also be purpose filled.
Hmm.
Fear whispers all the reasons you don't belong, but faith reminds you why you're needed. So being the first isn't about having all the answers, it's about having the courage to step into the unknown so others can see that it's possible. Faith doesn't cancel fear, but it steadies you enough to move forward anyway. And sometimes your yes isn't just for you, it's about the people that are coming behind you.
Yes, sir. You better say that thing. I love it. Whenever we are subjected to that kind of fear and uncertainty, I'm reminded of the Bible and the heroes of the Bible. And you think of Moses, who said, hey, who am I, Lord? I have a stuttering problem. I'm not fit to do this. And God says, hey, I will be with you. You think about Esther, who was moving her people from being annihilated, and she was well positioned to do that. God anointed her to do that. You think about the prophet Jeremiah, who says, hey man, I'm too young. God said, don't say that. So these leaders, they didn't feel ready. But they were willing. And so I think there's something to be said about us all feeling inadequate in some way, but moving beyond that and being willing to say
Yeah.
yes. And so I'm also reminded that this very weekend, my wife, who is wonderful in every way, is
Yes,
actually
she is.
stepping out. She is. And she is stepping out on faith. She's doing her trial sermon this weekend. And so she is always kind of hesitant in this. She's doesn't feel confident. But I provide and confide in her and say, listen, you've got everything you need to do this. And so
Yeah.
I'm reminded in that just someone that is very close to me is going through this right now, but she is still pushing forward, even though she has a lot of fear in doing that. She is still walking the plank and moving forward. So I'm real proud of her and all of her endeavors, and especially what she's doing this weekend. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love that perspective. It's powerful to see that even the leaders that we most revere
that's right.
started with hesitation and self doubt. I mean,
Yes,
you
sir.
mentioned Moses, Esther, and Jeremiah.
That's right.
And even though they didn't feel ready, their
Mhm.
willingness opened the door for extraordinary impact.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
reminds me that leadership isn't about confidence at the start, it's
Mhm.
about showing up and trusting that you're not alone.
That's right.
Hesitation isn't a weakness, it's the place where faith meets action.
Yes, sir. So, as a call to action this week, I'm going to ask that everybody reflect on your next yes and then think about what opportunity and invitation or challenge you may be facing and maybe tugging at you, even when you don't feel ready. I want you to write it down. I want you to pray on that thing. I want you to meditate on that thing. And I want you to share it with someone. Now, when I say that, I want you all to be very careful about who you share it with because
So
there
true.
are there are dream killers out there, and we'll talk about that in another episode. But I want you to confide in someone that you trust in and someone that believes in you. And your willingness to step forward, even when you're hesitant, may spark someone else. And that may be something that somebody else is waiting for. And so you talked a little bit about that, Ken, as well. So I want you to be that example. Even though it's scary, you don't know what's to come out of that. I know you can do it. And so with that, I want to remind everybody to lead with love, laugh with grace, and lift someone up today. I appreciate y'all.
That's such a powerful and practical call to action and challenge. I think too often we wait for the perfect moment
Yes, sir.
for ourselves to feel fully ready. But leadership starts with a willing heart. Your willingness to step forward, even
Mhm.
imperfectly, could be the spark that lights the way for someone else.
Yes,
So,
sir.
never underestimate the ripple effect of saying yes.
That's right.
If this
That's right.
conversation resonated with you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe so that don't miss out on our next conversation. We would also love to hear from you, so be sure and comment below and let us know what is the next yes that is whispering to you. Thanks for watching and join us next time as we unpack the topic of the leadership mirror. What do you see? Ciao for now.